Welcome to everybody in this room, to the over 60 people that are in the Turner Atlanta office, to Facebook Live, and to all the people watching on PwC.com all around the U.S. Welcome to 17 years of the Outlook and a brand new Outlook today. You might have noticed that your surroundings are a little bit different than if you've been to one of these events before. And stay tuned for all the differences that you'll note in the content, what we have to say around the world of differences, and in fact, how we're producing the collateral for the Outlook. We're going to have Christina Jackson from PwC start us off with some rich highlights around the actual numbers. Yep, we still talk about numbers, as well as some of the key themes that we're seeing. Then we're going to have industry conversations that are very diverse and fascinating, leading off with Donna Speciale, the ad president for Turner, moving on to managing editor from Recode and a chat with myself. And then we'll have, I'm very excited to introduce you to Beatriz Acevedo, who's a founder and the president of Me Too. And then our last expert will be something really fascinating. We're going to hear from Carol Stern, the US CEO for UNICEF, tell us about how she leverages social and technology to meet their goals. So with that, I do want to share one more thing with you before I turn this over to Christina Jackson. Besides, I'm Deborah Bothun. I always forget to introduce myself. And I am the global entertainment leader for PwC. But the one thing I do want to make sure that you recognize, because you have many things on your chairs, is that you have something that's a special report with strategy and business and the Outlook this year. In here you will find several articles, one of which gives you all the top line articles and graphs and charts, et cetera, that you usually expect to see relative to the Outlook, and several other interesting articles by external authors about the future of entertainment media. So please do take this with you, and know that this is also, of course, digitally available online, and you have that information in there as well. So with that, I want to ask Christina Jackson to come up, but I want to say one thing about, there you are. I want to say one thing about Christina before she comes up. It'll probably embarrass her. Christina probably knows more about the data in all 54 countries than anyone in the world. She's literally communicated with every one of those 54 countries over the last year. So she is truly the worldwide expert. Christina?
Well, thank you, Deborah, for that introduction, and she did embarrass me. I've been spending the last few months in spreadsheets and data, and I'm so excited to be here today to summarize the key findings with all of you. As I'm sure you can all imagine, we have a few 100,000 words of content and a tremendous amount of data, so I'm going to move through these things very quickly, but know that more information is available from the special report that you have on your table, your PwC contacts, and the product online. For those of you who find any of this interesting, we encourage you to share using the hashtag PwC Outlook. In fact, we encourage you to do so and would love to see it. So jumping in, what did we see this year in the Outlook? Overall, we summarize it by saying it's a world of differences. And what we mean by that is when you look at the top line trends, things may not on the surface appear super interesting. But once you dig down, it's fascinating. 4.4% projected growth from 2016 to 2020. Slightly below what we projected last year with 5.1%, with that being driven by overall the softening economic environment in addition to decreases in business to business and publishing. Around the world, growth is being driven by digital. We project that we're going to go from less than half of the world being connected via mobile today to almost 2/3 by 2020. When we look at the Outlook, we're talking about consumer and end user spending across almost 30 entertainment and media data segments in 54 countries around the world. And by the way, those countries are where the growth is coming from. Some of the territories in the Asia Pacific and Latin America region have double the global growth rate average, and it's even higher for some digital growth segments around the world. The Outlook has 5-year historical and 5-year projected information, and again, includes both revenue and non-revenue segments in addition to the infrastructure like internet access, advertising, consumer spending that support all of that growth. So what did we learn this year? When we look at the sectors, the trends from global more people getting connected, digital driving growth, span into a couple of our examples here. Music, with a 2% growth rate, is benefiting from incredible advancements in streaming and subscription revenue and online music consumption, while seeing declines in traditional radio advertising revenue. Publishing, with a 1% CAGR, does have pockets of opportunity, but we're increasingly seeing publishers struggle to compete with user-generated content, new media formats, and the shift to digital, although there are absolutely some bright lights within the space as well. Internet advertising and internet access is such a great space to look at this year. 8% growth. And that is driven by more of the world getting connected, traditional media experiences continuing to move online in a major way, and those traditional experiences being supplemented with ad revenue. There are absolutely challenges, ad blocking, finding a great measurement standard, providing a great consumer experience, and protecting privacy, but tremendous opportunity in both of these areas around the world. So what does it all mean? I've just thrown some data at you. But when we look at it, we really do see access growing at a faster rate than advertising or consumer spending, which means advertising spending is catching up to consumer spending. Advertisers are paying for more of the entertainment and media experiences than they have in the past as we look to the future. We summarize all of these shifts into 5 major trends. Demography, competition, consumption, geography, and business models. First up, demography. The youth are propelling entertainment and media growth. What do we mean by this? Everyone's always talking about youth, but a lot of times it's in the view of the trends that they're driving or what the future is. And what we saw this year for the first time is a near perfect correlation in those markets with an average population of under 35 years old and the projected entertainment and media growth for those countries. We believe this is caused not only by younger audiences being incredibly comfortable with digital consumption, but also staying connected throughout more of their day and having the time and resources to consume entertainment and media content when you look at the growth of the middle class around the world. Shift 2, consumption. This is a really interesting one, and it goes back to that point on the differences around the world. When we look at what's happening, we absolutely do continue to see the appetite for global content. There have been some major blockbuster wins, and there's been a lot going on that showcases the power to offset production costs and reach a global audience. But we're also starting to see local content being incredibly important with increasing volume. Nigeria is producing more films than US studios. India is the world's most prolific producer of movies. We're starting to see these markets very much come into their own and start to create the content that they want to see and be a lot less open to cookie-cutter English language material. Shift 3, competition. I think everyone in this room is pretty familiar with the bundle. The bundle isn't dead, but it is absolutely changing. We're seeing consumers, largely enabled by technology, having the ability to drive a lot more about what they're willing to pay for and the price that they're willing to pay for it on the devices that they want. Television is by no means dead. We still project very positive growth there, but we are seeing that growth shift to OTT in addition to advertising revenue, and we are seeing consumers increasingly take back a lot of that power so that they are controlling where they get that content, the content that they want, and the price that they're paying for it. Shift 4, geography. When we look around the world, we've had such amazing insights from our global community of PwC professionals. And one of the things that came through is there is a tremendous amount of opportunity over there. But when you look around the world, you have to know what you're getting yourself into before you jump in. Where to invest, how to invest, and government regulation are becoming so critical. And we've seen governments increasingly get involved in entertainment and media this year in a way that we haven't necessarily seen in the past. Governments are dictating the percentage of entertainment and media content, the amount of content, the taxes, and really making sure that they are having a little bit more control over those entertainment and media experiences. Shift 5, business models. We're being a little stark with our language here, saying that technology allows smaller companies to run circles around incumbents. What we really mean by this is that smaller companies are able to take on larger established incumbents in ways that they haven't been able to before. We're projecting 20% growth in unique application downloads alone, reaching 385 billion unique applications by 2020. What this means is that smaller companies are able to reach consumers in ways that are pretty effective and pretty easy. And those larger companies that don't adapt their business model, deliver a great experience, deliver experiences across devices, and really create a trusting and high-impact relationship with the consumer are going to face competition in ways they haven't in the past. Before I leave you all, I just have 3 final points. First, mobile is increasingly at the center of entertainment and media experiences. Not always as the primary device, but it is so core across all segments to how entertainment and media content is evolving. Second, the speed of shifts is growing. We continue to see things happening within a 1-year period versus over many years as we look across segments. It's getting faster. And finally, it's such an exciting time to be part of this space. Innovations in virtual reality, personal digital assistants, using big data and analytical models to define and target content are all making it a really neat time to be involved in this space. And with that, I will thank you all for your attention and turn it over to the Fireside Chat series.